Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of the campaign log. Last time we left off in this crafting room with 3 jugs that they checked out. They decided to double back and check out the areas they didn't go down, just that way they couldn't get, flanked after finding the secret door and closing it back up. So I believe first they went over here and fought the fake Lich boss, which apparently I forgot to change the name of the token from Lich Guy. So in initiative, it just said Lich Guy, and there's a bit of a laugh. But this was just a simulacrum. They figured that out with the cohort's spellcraft check, or maybe knowledge arcana. Or maybe it was knowledge religion, since it is undead. That's a simulacrum of. Either way, it was fairly easy for them. I think he only got 1 or 2 spells off that weren't particularly great. He hasted in the buff round because he let the players do a buff round, as many as they wanted, and he got one for everyone they had. He did a controlled fireball, and then I think that's it. And only a few people actually took damage from it. Someone was standing at the top of the stairs by his turn, so they didn't get hit, and the monk had evasion. But other 2 took around 30 damage, I believe. On him, he had an orange prism ironstone, a quarterstaff of non-masterwork variety, and a spell book with these spells on it. And I just, took a screenshot of the spell list and put it in the loot channel on the Discord. They then went up and played around with the fire. They were able to disable the trap on the door that would have attempted to grapple them and pull them in. And they saw the fire with the frictionless slide. They were debating what to do with it for a good 10 minutes, with the monk wanting to see what's at the bottom, even though I kept saying, no, you can see the bottom. The fire produces plenty of light. It's just right there behind the fire. And everyone else being like, no, that's don't do that. Why would you do that? We're not gonna be able to get you out. You're the only person here who can't fly. But he thought, because he threw an arrow down there, and I told him, yeah, I did 2d4 fire damage around to the arrow, and he's like, oh, well, I have fire resistance from my ring, I'll be fine. Thing is, if I actually scroll down to the fire pit, it does more damage. It does 2d4 more damage per 5 fire resistance you have, or if you are immune to fire, it does 32d4, which won't damage the person who's immune to fire, but it can incinerate steel chains in 1 round, because objects take half damage from fire, or both from elemental damage. It has hardness 10 and 5 hit points, so it needs to do 15 damage after being halved, and it's 32 dice, so it'll do 16 damage minimum. So it'll incinerate steel chains. So they wouldn't have been able to get him out, most likely, because he has, I believe, 20 on his ring. It's a major ring. So it's 30. No. It is 20. Yeah. So he would have been looking at 10d4, which would incinerate rope, which I think is all they really had immediately. And if it rolled well, it would have the chance to melt. I guess it's not incinerate chain, but melt chain into a liquid. Let's see. They then went back through the secret door. Found this secret door immediately, went in here. The monk did in fact sit in one of the magical armchairs. He failed the will save. He rolled very low and ended up asleep. And the other players were considering, the gunslinger, or no, not the gunslinger, the gun chemist, Joseph, was not able to make it to the session, so I had his character taking a bath in the water jug. And they considered, with the one guy not here today and the monk sleeping in the chair, we could rush them into the dungeon and get those genie wishes all to ourselves, because there's 3 of us left. Jofin the Scald, Vac the mixture of multiple classes, and Victor the Gunslinger. They could have each gotten a wish themselves. They very heavily considered it, and they even disarmed the trap on. Or no, they. I don't think they failed to disarm the trap on this door. I think by more than 5. They again rolled very low, so the lightning bolt went off because it was 2 lightning bolts, which is the 120-foot line electricity spell. The 2 that were there dodged out of the way. I don't think they were even standing directly in front of it. The monk was too low because he was reclining back in a recliner. So it just went over him. You know, he had no grounding to the floor at all. These 2 black lines were tapestries. The left one depicting the golden gates of heaven, the right one the bronze gates of hell. They did make an appraise check. I want to say that was the monk's idea, and they succeeded. The DC 25. They're worth about 5,000 gold pieces to the right person. I don't know if they grabbed them now due to their size, or if they just decide to come back for them. Actually, I can check the loot channel in Discord. We'll say there. Yep, 2x tapestries. So yeah, they grabbed them. They did wake the monk up before moving on through the secret door. They got to this corridor, and with the same mentality of, hey, we should make sure there aren't any monsters behind us. And even though they've learned that the way forward is, the obvious way forward is always a trap in this dungeon, with one exception of the time there wasn't a way forward with the caved-in wall. No trap there, just psychological torture. They decided to check these 2 doors here anyways. They were both lightning bolt traps. They disarmed both of those. Or actually, no, I think they all hit around the corner and pulled on the handle of the door with rope. And just let the lightning go off. So this secret door here cannot be found from this side. It's hidden and in the ceiling and all kinds of other things. It's one way. It's a one-way door. So even if they did find it, they wouldn't be able to open it at all without destroying it, which again, made of stone. The wards in here make stone have 50 hardness. So they find this secret door, and to distract them from making a perception check to find more secret doors after it's open, I immediately start describing the area. There's a locked door up and to the right and a very tall staircase that is tall enough that it goes outside your dark vision range. So they start work on picking the locks to these 3 doors. The gunslinger takes 1 step up the stairs, and that's when he discovers how these stairs work. For every 5 feet up the stairs you go, it takes 1 minute to come back down, because you go up much further than 1 step, or well, 1 square. When you go 1 square up, you go your entire 1 minute of movement up the stairs every time you go 5 feet. So it's much faster going up. You'll just skip most of the staircase going up, but coming down you have to use the entire thing. Now, they did not go all the way up it. They debated it, but they did not. If they climb upward for 10 minutes, which would take hours to come back down, they get plane shifted to the plane of Earth with a will save, a very high will save of 30 to negate. Now, this room back here, they were able to identify that the ground had a spell effect. I want to say it's a transmutation. The point is the effect affects objects, not people, is what the cohort Eddie was able to figure out. And they threw some rubble or bones or whatever in that they've been carrying around from the entrance of the dungeon, just to test things. It didn't do anything. Eventually the monk was like, I've got a lot of speed. I'll go in there, look around with perception while being in the room. He rolled, I think he nat 1'd his perception check, but that didn't matter. There wasn't much to find. Vac, however, got a new perception check because the floor was slowly becoming less real as the monk was in there. So the monk immediately left once Vac pointed it out. And it continued, and after 1 minute since the monk entered the room, the floor was completely gone, and there was a bottomless pit. And while they had no way of knowing it, I think they put the light spell on Arrow and tossed it in, or a piece of junk that they had. And yeah, I was like, yeah, eventually it gets so far away you can't see it anymore. And they were like, yeah, well, bottomless pits typically are bottomless. And I told them, well, it's not bottomless, but it goes all the way to the Underdark, which luckily, if you had fallen in, maximum fall damage of 20d6. And if you make a DC 15 acrobatics, which everyone here should be able to do, and the ground down there is mud, so 2d6 of it is non-lethal. So it probably wouldn't have killed any of you, but we would have been in the Underdark for quite a while as you tried to find your way out. I did not tell them that the stairs would shift them to the plane of Earth. I only told them about the Underdark one because I wanted to be clear, it's not actually bottomless pit. It does have bottom, it's just miles down. Anyways, they came back, made the perception check. They asked, one of them asked the others, like, hey, have we made a perception check for this hallway yet? And they were like, yeah, I think so. And it's like, no, you made a perception check on the other side of that secret door. And so they made the perception check, found that secret door, went through the natural tunnel that's not very worked, over to here where they fought Skeletoni, who is a special type of undead. He was turned undead without being killed first, so he never was actually, his soul never left his body / corpse. So his title of Champion of Neris, the goddess of giants, stayed, and he was some type of giant that's huge size. I don't remember which one I based it off of. Storm giant. It says right in his race, Storm giant. And he was 16 hit die. He missed his first attack against the monk. He rolled like a 2, and he missed by a 3 or 4. He has a very high to hit bonus. I'll go ahead and roll it here. Just regular vital strike, single attack. 42. He rolled a 3 again. He rolled very low again. He doesn't have very good luck. But 78 damage. As soon as the monk saw that, it was like, oh, good thing he missed with how much damage he does. And I was like, yes, it is a good thing he missed. He is, and the monk was, yes, I'm very less, once again, first with Lady Winifred with her vital strike, and now with Skeletoni and his, I believe, greater vital strike, so he's got all 3. The monk felt much less capable of tanking. Now, just as an example, because I don't remember what crit threat the Holy Avenger Neris here has, but a vital strike that's a crit would do nearly 200 damage, which would instantly kill anyone in the party. But they were able to wear him down very fast. The entire time he was telling them, hurry up and kill me, make sure I can't be brought back as undead again, destroy the body, get my soul the hell out of here, which they couldn't really do. And he even informed them, I'm vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Hit me with bludgeoning. So they did, and the guns did very well at destroying him entirely. I think they might have taken something for a transformative from him, but I don't remember. But all his feats are fairly good. The quick squeeze ability sounded nice, except they're all medium size. They really don't need it. Basically, it means that if the amount he has to squeeze is 10 feet or less, he takes no penalties during the squeezing. They checked out these devil faces with open mouths. One has slide going up, which I believe was this one. One has slide going down, was this one. One of them asked, could I make an engineering check to see if this one here connects to the one at the start of the dungeon? And I was like, you could, but you really don't have to, because you guys threw a thing down here, down that front slide, and it's not here. You can be fairly confident that this isn't it. The monk really wanted to figure out what was going on with these slides, which these ones are the safe ones. If you go down the down one or up the up one, it just teleports you to the other one halfway through without, and it's like a seamless teleportation, so you can't really tell you're being teleported. and you just come flying out the other if you're sliding down. They wanted to have Vac fly up the up one. They did go in here to 3 guards. Basically, I had the idea, what if I made the, 2 guards, one always tells the truth, one always lies thing a bit more interesting with 3 of them. So they had this to say. One chest will kill you, one chest will curse you, one chest will make you rich. One of us wants you dead and can and will lie to convince you to choose the death chest, but may tell the truth if it would lead you to your death. The same thing with cursed, except I think there might have been a typo in that one. Yeah, I copy pasted that and then changed death to curse, but I missed one of the deaths. And one of us wants you to have the treasure and will always tell the truth. You and your group may ask up to 3 questions, each question directed at a single one of us. You or your group may choose as many chests as you want, so long as at least one of you lives. So I then clarified that, yeah, the guy who made this place has like a 20 something intelligence or 30. I don't quite remember. You'd have to go check again. I don't feel like it. But you guys can, your any questions regarding the rules will not count against your total of 3 because I didn't do as good of a job explaining as I should be able to. And I basically had to explain to them, yeah, these guys are not clever in the slightest. If they were clever, this would be impossible. They are not clever, they are dumb. So they will only lie when you absolutely expect them to lie, and only tell the truth when you absolutely expect them to tell the truth. They will not, there is no double negatives, there's no reverse psychology. It is just they're not clever, they're dumb. And then I had to tell them, yeah, real quickly, I gotta get my D3 out, which I have in my set of cursed dice, and determine which chests are which and which guards are which. And Vac or the monk, one of the two. I'm recording this on Monday and we play on Tuesdays, so it's been almost a week. But one of them pretty much figured out an alternate solution to what I thought. My version of the solution was you ask the same one twice about 2 different chests, and then figure out from there if that one is a liar or the truth teller. And then you've got 2 guards with 1 question, and it's effectively the original problem. What he figured out was that if you ask all 3 guards the same question, 2 of them will point to either the curse or the death chest, and 1 of them will point to the death or the curse chest, that being the truth teller. Usually, wait, no, I think the truth teller is one of the 2. Either way, they had like 2 of them point towards the curse chest because they asked the question to all 3 of them, so all 3 questions were used. My goal is to be cursed, which chest is the curse chest, and of course the death guard points to the death chest, the curse guard pointing towards the curse chest because he is capable of telling the truth if it would lead you to the curse chest, and the truth teller pointed towards the curse chest. So they knew from there the cursed, the death, and the treasure chest, which is better than my solution. My solution was figure out which is the treasure chest and leave the other 2 alone. So they opened the treasure chest. The death guard and cursed guard continued to berate them with, I think you should open this chest as well. And we had some fun there. In the treasure chest, there was a 4,820 gold pieces, a crown, a minor crown of blasting, a symbol of sanguine protection, which is a holy symbol, it's tied to iodite, and a ring of wizardry 3, which the with Vac being a cleric and a prepared caster immediately put it on. The giant over here also had a +3 buckler, a +6 head mana charisma, +6 belt of strength. Now, they then ended up over here at this set of doors. They found the stained glass staircase with the lights coming in from outside. They weren't too curious about that. What they were curious about was this mirror over here with their reflections in it. And the walls and ceiling are painted with basically an optical illusion, so nothing magical, just really skilled painter, and I imagine mathematician of the geometry variety. And of course, the very thin eighth of an inch of water on the ground that was also reflective. The water had magic on it to make it extra reflective, and that's it. They figured that out fairly easily. The monk, they threw stuff at the mirror, and it bounced off of the things thrown by their reflections, not the mirror itself, and the mirror rippled, which they took a perception check to realize. The monk was the first one to go through the mirror, although he is back here still. He used one of the invisibility potions made by their alchemist friend, since he handed one out to everyone at the beginning of the dungeon. And his reflection was not there when he entered the room or when he entered the mirror. I believe before that, actually, the cohort entered the mirror with no one else in the room, and there was the cohort's reflection with its bottom jaw torn off, its nose cleaved off, and its eyes gouged out. So, you know, a bit horrific. No one seems to really mind the horror, though. And because of the ability from transformative that the cohort got, there was the whole duplication thing. Where is the ability? I don't think he put the ability on there. Either way, there was the multiplication. His actual cohort got out of the mirror, and because there was one more reflection duplicate than the real thing, reflection won that battle. Later, the monk went in with the invisibility potion, went over here, opened the doors, looked through them to see the what he doesn't know as the fake burial chamber. And then he dismissed the invisibility, because invisibility is a dismissible spell. Came back, his reflection was there, but luckily he cannot hit himself except on a nat 20. So I got like an attack opportunity when the monk went back to this side of the mirror. His reflection did not follow, which they were glad to see. And they were now one less invisibility potion. So they got some more information. The monk borrowed the cohort, left the cohort on the safe side of the mirror, went in and killed the manipulated reflection of the cohort doppelganger, effectively. The reflection on the monk got like one or two flurry of blows, no nat 20s, I don't think. And I made a joke that when he killed the reflection of Eddie exploded. Let it sit for a few seconds. Vac started to have a bit of shock. I can almost hear him start his complaint before I was like, no, just kidding. That's not what happens. And they then, you know, did like 2 hours of experimenting with this mirror. Figured that out that Eddie's reflection does not come back. That guy is defeated and done and dealt with. And they spent probably the last 45 minutes just being like, should we find a way to deal with our enemy or with our reflections? Should we just book it past them and hope they can't leave that side of the room and just go straight into the burial chamber? And what they ended up deciding, with about 2 minutes past the end of the session, is that they're going to wait for this week so that way they can have their alchemist friend, who's the only smart one in the group, they decided, to figure out A, how to deal with it, and B, hand out the rest of his invisibility potions. That way they can have one each if they decide to just ignore the reflections and not deal with them. That's something that came up during the 3 guards room as well, is they were just like, man, it's too bad the alchemist isn't here. He'd know how to solve this easily. So yeah, that should cover everything. The rest of the dungeon is fully prepped. Not that there's much of it. There's 3 rooms, including the room that they spent 2 hours experimenting with. So they should be done fairly quickly. Something I do have to note is I have to level Acererak here up again if Vac took the blessing of his god, because as it stands, Acererak has just the max amount of hit dice that Vac would have to kill him if he took the blessing. And Acererak is going to offer them as a group. You may take one thing out of this room, you know, either one of these big jugs of gold, one of the chests, or one item on the tables. And if they want more than that, they're gonna have to kill him. So either they're going to take the lamp and run, or actually no, he's not gonna offer immediately. If they try any form of diplomacy, it will half succeed unless they get some ridiculously high number, in which case it might succeed better. But you know, if they just attempt diplomacy, they get to offer one of these things. If they do really well at diplomacy, they might get one thing each. And if they refuse, then it's going to be a battle to, well, not death, because the Acererak's phylactery isn't here. So he's not at risk of actually being destroyed permanently. It's just going to be very annoying for him to reform over, I think it's like 2 weeks or a month or something, for, I don't remember how long it takes liches to reform. But, you know, it's long enough and painful enough that he is willing to just let them take one item and leave. You know, this place is very profitable. One loss isn't going to be a big deal. So we'll see how that goes. But it should happen tomorrow night. And it should be fine.